Hey folks, and welcome to another video of mine. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Unity, why I love this game in 2021 heading into 2022, why you should play it, and which console should you play it on. I'm going to start off by comparing the performances on both the Xbox Series S and the PS4 Pro, and then I'm going to move on to telling you all the reasons why I love this game, why I feel it's so underrated, and why it does not deserve the hate that it got. On the contrary, this game deserves a lot of love. With that said, let's get started. Let's start by taking a look at the way this game looks on both the consoles. It runs a little less than 1080p on both the consoles, 900p, and the color reproduction overall looks better on the Xbox Series S straight off the bat, and that is because of the auto HDR. Now, while the game runs at the same resolution on both the consoles, on the Xbox Series S, the game also benefits from an FPS boost. So this makes the game run at a smooth 60 FPS and not the 30 FPS that it runs on the PlayStation 4 Pro at. And trust me when I say this, the FPS boost most definitely makes a huge impact on your overall gaming experience. And we're going to take a look at exactly how it impacts your gaming experience positively. Let's talk about FPS boost first. Now the FPS boost makes a huge difference, especially in fast moving scenes like this one. So if you've made your character sprint, like I have done in this case, Arno is sprinting, and it's the same level, and he's sprinting at the same speed. Now, when you play it at normal speed, it does not make much of a difference, but when I do slow this footage down, you will be able to see the difference clearly. So let's do exactly that. Let's slow the footage down to half the speed, and now when you take a look at the PS4 Pro's footage, now that footage looks choppy in comparison to Xbox Series S. The Xbox Series S is running buttery smooth. And this is where the FPS boost makes such a huge difference. Fast moving scenes, whether it's your parkouring or whether it's your action sequences like in combat, it definitely makes a big difference. And therefore the FPS boost is something which makes this game look so much better overall. And it's not just in scenes like this where you're sprinting, but even when you are panning your camera around, it makes such a big difference. Now let me show you a small example of that. The next footage, it might be a little headache inducing, especially on the PS4 Pro, because it looks very choppy. Take a look at that footage. It is very choppy. It looks like more like a frame by frame animation, like stop motion animation in fact. But the Xbox Series S is again silky, buttery, smooth. What I also found was slightly different on the Xbox Series S was the textures on the flooring. Now I don't know, they might have some kind of a texture filtering going for them, so it just looks slightly better when it comes to the textures on the Xbox Series S. Now I played this game first on the PlayStation 4 Pro, and then I moved on to playing this on the Xbox Series S. Now on the PlayStation 4 Pro, the frame rates would be locked at 30 FPS, but I did notice the frame rates drop at certain points like this one here, especially these synchronization points. It takes a lot from the PlayStation 4 Pro, and therefore I did in some of these sync points notice some frame drops, but not something that is concerning. Even when I slow the footage down, now you'd be able to take a look at all those choppy frames on the PlayStation 4 Pro because of the locked 30 FPS. And need I say that the 30 FPS is not a stable 30 FPS. I did notice it dropped down to say about 26 to 27 frames per second as well. But on the Xbox Series S, this was a flat 60 FPS, and the performance in comparison to the PlayStation 4 Pro was so much better. It was very consistent. And even if it dropped a frame, it was only in those really crowded areas, not at these sync points. These sync points were absolutely smooth when it comes to the Xbox Series S. So I would say from a frame rate perspective, the Series S definitely offers so much more, especially because of that FPS boost, and it makes a significant difference in your gaming experience overall. Even when Arno jumps from the sync point, look at how smooth the whole footage looks, and it's clearly because of the FPS boost. Now, when it comes to comparing the resolution, like I said just a short while earlier, I think there's something that is comparatively better on the Xbox Series S, especially when it comes to the textures. Now, I am not sure about this, so if you know about something different on the Xbox Series S, especially when it comes to the textures, do let me know in the comment section as well. Now, the floor textures and some textures overall just look better on the Xbox Series S. They are more or less very similar when it comes to the resolution. So it's tough to pick one over the other, I would say, in terms of the resolution department. But hey, if I really have to pick one in this comparison, I would say it has to be the Xbox Series S again. Somehow, maybe the Xbox Series S benefits from that 60 FPS and the auto HDR as well. You remember, Xbox Series S also supports auto HDR on both the Series X and the S console. So the color reproduction is slightly better, and that may be giving a slight edge to the Series S and X over the PlayStation 4 Pro. So even when I zoom in, I don't know if you'll be able to see the difference, but I could certainly notice a difference there. Now, moving over to why I love the Assassin's Creed Unity game overall, and especially on the Xbox Series S, because I played this after I played it on my PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, if you take a look at this particular footage, now this footage is it in fact blew my mind, because I had to remind myself that this is a 7-year-old game, and the way it performs on the Xbox Series S is brilliant. I mean, I have slowed the footage down to half the speed, but as you can take a look at it, in terms of the world building element, Assassin's Creed Unity did such a fabulous job, and it created this beautiful city of Paris full of life. The reason why I say that is because all the NPCs that you see in the background, they are alive. They have character to it. So it's not just placing NPCs in a game for the sake of populating the screen. These characters that you see on screen, they will reach out to you, they will talk to you. You know, even if you approach, let's say for instance, anybody and you bump them, they have a different response. So it's a game which is full of life. And I just hope that other Assassin's Creed games, in fact games in general, can actually pick from what they did in Assassin's Creed Unity. And the overall design of this world was insane, from your time outside to your time inside, meaning inside buildings like this one. Look at the lighting, look at the chandeliers, look at that reflection on the flooring, the carpets. There are intricate, you could say, design elements that you will greatly appreciate in this game, and this is what sets this game apart from the other Assassin's Creed games, because this is perhaps one of the only AC games where you had a mix of both the worlds, meaning that you could run outside, out in the open, and then you could also get inside buildings. Of course, not all buildings, but there are a lot of buildings that you can actually enter into. And that's what made this game so different. It gave it a very realistic sense of you could say this world building that they had done, and it was absolutely brilliant. Now, the colors, the animations, the voice acting, they are all top notch. And as you can see in this cutscene, apart from the top notch animations, and I also want to talk about its stealth dynamics and its stealth mechanics. Now, this game really did a very good job when it comes to stealth as well, and it's also because of the way the world was built, and I'm going to talk about that in a short while. But again, just take a look at the level design, the painting in the background, the colors, the paneled walls, the wooden furniture, the curtains. Everything reeks of a very high quality in terms of level design. So I really appreciate that, and it's fantastic. It's like a testimony to how good a game can look. And again, I have to remind myself that this is a 7-year-old game, because barring the resolution, this is a superb AAA title. If they could just up the resolution bit on the Series S as well, maybe bump it up to 4K, even 1440p actually would make a difference, because this game runs at 900p on both the PlayStation 4 Pro and on the Xbox Series S. Now, coming back to the element of stealth, like I was saying, this game, because of the way the world is built, it really benefits from that world building, because you can move around outside and inside a building like this one, like I'm doing right now. And that is what makes the stealth dynamic so much better, because stealth outside is not as good as stealth inside a building. So taking cover behind tables, behind you could say furniture, it's such a great thing to do. I mean, this game nailed the stealth mechanics, and I really enjoyed my time when it comes to stealth in this particular game over the other Assassin's Creed games. So it had the stealth dynamics really nailed. And let me know in your comments as to what you feel about the stealth in this particular game. I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. But in case you didn't, then you can let me know why you didn't enjoy the stealth dynamics. Now, the story also, I think the story was really one of the good ones in the Assassin's Creed franchise. I think it told a very, you could say, heartfelt story of Arno and how he struggles between losing his father twice, in fact. Not once, because he already lost his real father, and then his father, who adopted him, he loses him as well. And the blame of that killing or that murder actually falls upon his head. And that's where this hero's journey starts. So the story element is also really good. I think they did a very good job when it comes to the story. And the story shows the evolution of our hero, Arno. So it's a journey. And his journey is good. It's you feel like there's evolution in this character, and that's what games are set to do. I mean, they should show some kind of progression with a character, and Arno in this case definitely feels more matured by the end of the game. In the beginning, he's a little cocky, but towards the end, he's really good. Now, in terms of the parkouring element, I'm sure you're noticing on screen, because of that level design again, the city of Paris, it's so good to parkour. So parkouring in this game, I would say, is my favorite from all the Assassin's Creed games, because hey, if you take a look at Valhalla, mostly it's just large or huge landscapes. So you can't really parkour in the way you can in Assassin's Creed Unity. So even Odyssey, although I love the world of ancient Greece, but it just doesn't have the parkouring that this game has. This game nails the stealth mechanics, it nails the parkouring. Again, it's because of that world building. And if you take a look at the level again, like I was talking about, entering a building, leaving a building, so it has the best of both worlds. You have excellently designed interiors, and then you move on outside to a densely populated, you could say, audience or densely populated world of Paris. Now, in this particular scene, take a look at the lighting. The lighting, the way they baked the light in this, the lighting rig was, I believe, different to the games which came before this. This was one of the first AC games which tweaked the lighting rig. And the way the light falls on an object, on the surroundings, etc., it looked so much better. And this, I would say, was a precursor to the way Assassin's Creed games would look moving forward. And again, just take a look at all the NPCs that are on screen. They're not just there for the sake of it. Of course, this is a place which is supposed to be populated, so it has a reason, and it looks so alive. It looks fantastic. And all the NPCs, they are talking in the background, they are interacting with one another. So it's not just somebody who passes you by. They're not that kind of an NPC. Like in Cyberpunk 2077, for instance, most of the characters just walk past you. But in this game, that's not the case. The NPCs are alive, like I said. And that's what makes this world so much more real. And it adds that element of realism to it. Now, in terms of the cutscenes, if I haven't already mentioned this, because this is almost a 15 minutes video now, then I would like to mention that the cutscenes are really top-notch, and they offer very good quality cutscenes in this particular game. Again, it was something which changed the way Assassin's Creed games look moving forward, that is, with Origins or with Syndicate. Although I feel that Syndicate was not as good as this, in terms of the overall quality, I still feel AC Unity looked so much better than Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It was the world building, it was the character design, it was the story, etc. Everything just felt better. And I would say that this game, Assassin's Creed Unity, is without a doubt second on my list of Assassin's Creed games. So it's my second most favorite Assassin's Creed games, right after Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now finally, I do want to talk about the combat element as well, or the combat dynamics. It's a mixed bag. Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss. It's a miss maybe because the timing or the precision of pressing that button really matters in this particular game. So if you want to parry, you have to hit or press the button at the right time. So sometimes you may feel a bit off, and I think it requires a bit of a learning curve when it comes to the combat, but nothing major which sets you back. I enjoyed the combat as well, although not as much as the stealth or the parkouring, but it's not as bad as some of the people have made it out to be. It's decent, I would say. Of course, I enjoyed the combat mechanics in Odyssey more, and from an upgrade perspective as well, I think it had more to offer. Here, there are not a lot of upgrade mechanisms, so this had not become that full-fledged RPG yet. That, you could say, mode began with Assassin's Creed Origins. So here, the dynamics of the way the game plays was again old school AC games. So it was very different to Origins, Odyssey, or to Valhalla, but it's not bad. The overall gameplay, I think I enjoyed it. And again, this game has the perfect mix of running around outside in the city of Paris, this densely populated city of Paris, and on the Xbox Series S, it does not drop a frame. It is locked at 60 FPS, and it is an absolutely smooth experience. And if I have to choose a console to play this game on, having played it both on my PlayStation 4 Pro and on the Xbox Series S, my clear winner and my pick would be the Xbox Series S. So that's it for this video, folks, and if you haven't already played this, I would highly recommend that you download Assassin's Creed Unity. It's one of my favorite AC games, and it's a wrap for this one. I will see you lovely folks in my next video. Do hit that like and subscribe button, and also that bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. And until the next time, folks, take care, stay safe, happy gaming, and may God bless you all.